when Mr. Cheney leaves office, and it's migrating to, well, of all places, Dubai. The place that was going to buy the ports of New Jersey and New York. And I understand that Mr. Bush is moving to Paraguay. And there's a third thing I'd like you to deal with. The grab for minerals in South Africa. Would you please?
Bye-bye Dubai. Yeah, they're building a new financial center in Dubai to replace the one that they did the demolition on here in New York. And certainly...
Why Dubai? Why about New York?
Well, it's like a safe house. You know, the guys, look, religion that we know as religion, the Catholic Church, Islam, it's got...
Islam,
there's not a dime worth of difference in fact, you know, and Sharia law is really the same Catholic law which existed from its inception. But there's an inner circle, and what happens for the elite of the inner circle is a lot different than what happens for the cattle and the commoner.
You're saying there's really two religions, one for the elite and one for the cattle.
Right, just like the Masons. There's the upper level and there's the rest of all of the sheep.
So the upper level knows the facts and the lower level has the mythology.
Right. And they're kept in place through the disinformation and the belief structure. So that Dubai is like a safe house where the elite can go and have a modicum of freedom, so that they don't have to practice what they preach. And certainly Dubai is the place to do that. When push comes to shove, New York is in serious problems. You see Bloomberg. He understands it. Although he has his place in London, he goes there almost every weekend. He understands that what he's been working on, there's a certain authority or a pride and authority of what he's been doing, whether you like him or not. You know, there's a certain pride in what he's been doing, and he's trying to get a third term, and through a backdoor deal. But Cheney has announced he's going to Dubai. Bush, through Laura, have announced they're becoming Catholics, and they're going to take a few years off. But and certainly he and his family have been acquiring land in Paraguay for a long time. And of course, his father's got place all over the place. Plus, they got Kennebunk, which was the Walker families, which is a lot different than his Walkers were really fast and furious Midwesterners who were no-hold bars, who ran before World War I, ran the war board and essentially worked out all the deals, the fast and furious deals on
who got
what amongst themselves. And that again reappeared in World War II. But the recentering of our financial system has been brought to a head within the last couple weeks. It's more in line with the roadmap in the Mideast, where the Vatican intends to move into Jerusalem. Jesse Jackson came out and really warned about the danger of an Obama presidency, in that...
Would you continue, please? Tell us more, please.
Well, the crossroads between basically north and south, the southern hemisphere and the northern hemisphere, is both in Panama and through the Sinai and through what we now know through Syria.
Why does it matter?
Well, when push comes to shove, and airplanes are too expensive to run, you're going to have to run over land. And if you control the choke points, it's basic command and control, so that certainly Jerusalem is at the choke point for control of everything that moves from Africa to every other place, Europe, blah, 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 other than Gibraltar. And so the Vatican, because the Vatican is pagan in structure, it's not Christian, never was Christian.
Pagan structure?
Yeah. They practice Zoroastrianism, or a Mithra structured cult, which was in Babylon the worship of Baal, Baal, and in Egypt through Amun-Ra, and before that the worship of the sun and the moon, etc. Which is the symbol of both used by the Catholics and the Islamists. Of course, Muhammad, as a total, absolute illiterate, who hung out in caves and babbled to himself, was to a scribe who wrote down everything he said, was married to a very wealthy Roman nun who was converted to Roman Catholicism. She was 20 years his senior, and her family basically was very tight with the Rome, and she read to him the scriptures, and he repeated them in his own understanding in a cave to a scribe in Arabic, which supposedly was the words of God being put down on a page. But in fact, his whole entire operation was bankrolled and controlled through the Vatican, or what we now know as the Vatican, but Rome. And that the worship of Baal is what they're both involved with, all the symbols, all the trappings. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? Well, it certainly was the control over the Islam. And so there is an ongoing battle over temporal power, which is between Rome, its satrap Islam, and the remnants of the Protestant Reformation. Of course, the Protestants are unhappy Catholics who drop the ball, who really don't know one way or the other. Many of them are Masons and part of the Shriners themselves. The shrine is, in fact, the worship of Baal. So it's a big circle that goes right back to the worship of Baal through the Shriners organization, the Masons, the high-level Masons, not the lower lodge. The Blue Lodge is more of a craft fraternity historically, and that and I don't know how much time we had, but the point though is that Africa per se, historically Africa was a geologic structure which hadn't gone anywhere, and it is where strategic minerals are that everyone needs in a modern industrial society.
And which China is having a lot of success going into.
Well, China was pretty much put together by Father Desjardins, W.D. Du Bois, and the other Masons who essentially prompted Mao into his position so he can murder 100 million of his own people and wipe away the remnants of Confucianism and the dynasties that had resisted for so long the temporal power of Rome. There's a man by the name of Albert Pike who was a general in the Confederate Army. Pike's Peak is named after him. Yes. He ran the various economic black operations in today's